My name is Edgar Cleves, but everybody calls me Nick to distinguish between my dad and I. He's the senior and I'm the junior.
And when you were a young child, did a lot of people call your house looking for you and they got your dad?
Right?
And most of them didn't know the difference?
No, so my classmates started asking for Nick instead of Edgar.
Okay.
And that just stuck the rest of my life.
So Nick, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Covington, went to St. John's School, then Covington Latin School, then St. Thomas More College, then Villa Madonna College.
So you graduated from high school from Covington Latin at a pretty young age compared to most people. How old were you?
I was 15 in 1943.
And then you went to college. What city was that? Was Thomas More in? Not necessarily the
St. Thomas More.
St. Thomas More College.
It was a 2-year men's college in Covington.
Okay, which later became Villa Madonna. Different place.
They combined two of them.
I see. Now, see, I was unaware of that. I'm old enough to have gone to Villa Madonna too for a little
Villa
while.
Madonna was a 4-year college. St. Thomas More was a 2-year men's college.
Yeah.
And while I was gone in service, they combined the two colleges.
Okay.
But they were within walking distance of my home.
So when you were 15, and by the time you were 17, you had developed a love for airplanes. You were flying out of Lunkin.
65 horsepower Luscombe out of Lunkin Airport.
And was that a tail dragger?
If the wind was blowing too hard, we didn't take off.
You couldn't take off, huh?
No.
Okay. Now I'm going to ask you a little bit about your parents. What were their names?
My dad's name was Edgar. My mother's name was Regina.
And your dad, is he the one that founded the Cleves jewelry
Dad
store?
was the one that found, Dad and Mr. Lineman as partners founded Cleves and Lineman Jewelers in Bellevue. And I started working there when I was 13 years old, cleaning up. And after that, Mr. Lineman taught me how to repair clocks. Dad repaired clocks and jewelry. Mr. Lineman repaired watches. Dad taught me how to repair clocks. And then in 1945, I went in the Navy, and I was gone for just a year because World War II ended.
Now you had a 5-year contract with the Navy, is that right? And then when the war ended,
The
you
Navy
were
canceled it.
Yeah. But by that time you had become an officer.
No,
No, you had not become an
no, I
officer.
was a seaman second class,
Okay.
and I only received one promotion in the Navy. And I came back home in 1946, went to Villa Madonna College, got my degree in math and physics, a Bachelor of Science degree. I was only 19 years old when the Navy commissioned me an ensign.
Okay. Now we're going to go back to your early life again. Do you have siblings?
I was the oldest of 8.
The oldest of 8. How many boys? How many girls?
2 girls and 6 boys.
Oh. And are they all still living, or some have passed?
3 of the boys are dead,
Uh-huh.
and my one sister's dead.
Okay. Those that are still living, could you give us the names?
Yeah. One of them's a Franciscan priest, Father Simeon Cleves. He's the chaplain of Christ Hospital. He will be 86 years old in November, and he still works 6 days a week as a full-time chaplain.
Wow.
My brother Charlie is retired. He does charitable work, and he was in the Navy also. In fact, I swore him in the Navy. And I swore him in for 8 years, so he's got a discharge. I still don't have one. He was a navigator and bombardier on A3D, which is the largest carrier-based plane that carried 2 nuclear weapons.
Right.
I had 2 other brothers that were in the Navy. John was a second-class surveyor in the Seabees, and Joe was a third-class boatswain, coxswain on an LCM.
So the Navy is very deep in your family.
Definitely.
We have friends that I kid about being in the brown water Navy. You were never in the brown water Navy. You were always on either a big ship or airplane.
I was on 12 different ships, and 8 of them were destroyers, and 2 submarine chasers, 1 troop ship, and 1 command ship.
Wow, that's quite an array of places that you've been,
Yeah.
military-wise. Now, of your siblings, did you have special games you played, or anybody play baseball on any of the church teams or anything like that?
We didn't play on any teams, but we played baseball a lot. Um, if you recall, before I-75 came through, there were 9 baseball diamonds from 2nd Street in Covington all the way out to Goldenrod.
Right.
When they put 75 through, they wiped out all our baseball diamonds. So the fellas would go down there and play baseball. Everybody got on the team, and the girls would go down and watch the fellas play ball, so everybody stayed out of trouble.
Sounds like a pretty good deal. Up about where Jefferson Avenue is, I know they've changed that intersection a couple of times, and I remember at least one ball field in that area. But Covington was always a pretty populous area. But there were green areas too, weren't there, other than
Oh,
the DeVue
definitely.
Park?
Eastern part of town had some very fine green areas. They also had a baseball diamond, and out at 16th and Eastern, and the flood wall took that baseball diamond out and shortened it. There were green areas out in Latonia and Rosedale.
And I remember, I think it's Mike and Field that's still out there in
Right
Latonia.
on Madison Avenue.
People have played there for about 70 years, I think.
And you had Coble Park, which was very good, and then you had DeVue Park, which you had 500 and something acres. And we used to walk from our house up to DeVue Park all the time.
And where was your house?
639 West 12th Street in
12th
Covington.
Street. West 12th, so that would be near,
Hermes Avenue.
okay. I'm familiar with Russell and Holman and
Much further
a little bit
west.
further west, a couple blocks
Right.
west. And was it a big house or a big lawn?
No, it was one-story long house.
Uh-huh.
I guess there were 5, 6 rooms. I lived there until I went in the Navy. Then I came out, and then I went back in the Navy. And after I come out the second time, my wife and I got married. We started our married life in Bellevue.
Well, now I'm going to ask you about the second time you went to the Navy. I know that you had met Gert, and she came to pick up her mother, right, at a bingo?
Right.
And you were working the bingo in
I was a
Covington?
bartender.
The bartender. Well, that's probably the best job at the bingo. So anyhow, she came to pick up her mother, and
Right.
you got acquainted, and then you courted. And you had everything ready for the wedding except the invitations.
Right.
And then what happened?
Then I
Something-
got
something
my
about
orders
Korea?
to the Korean War. And I was in communications down at reserves in Covington, and I just hated that. I was very good at decoding messages, and I had to, on Tuesday night, I'd have to go in a room and lock the door, then open the safe and start decoding messages, and sit there hour after hour decoding these messages. And I thought that was the most useless job that you could give somebody.
Where did the messages come from? Where did they come from?
Military messages.
Military messages out of Washington and Norfolk,
Oh, okay.
and they were all coded messages. Probably some of them it was necessary, but some of them you could have published in the front page of the paper.
Yeah, and I think the military has that mystique about it. They want everything either by the book or decoded or coded so that it gives people practice, I think, to do it. And then you wonder, well, if they had just came and told me this, we'd all be on the same page, but it doesn't work that way.
No, I agree with you.
Now, do you remember what your first car was?
Nash,
A Nash.
that was after we got married.
Oh, I see. So you pretty well walked everywhere. You took the bus, the streetcars. Were
Or my
streetcars
dad's
still?
38 Packard.
Well, that's
We had 16 people in there one day, and 14 of them were in foremost.
I think I can understand that
That's how
because they
big
were
a
big
car.
cars, big cars.
Oh, I hated one day I lost that. He threw a rod down in Indiana.
Oh boy.
That was it.
You know, a lot of people don't even remember the Packard. I think they quit making them in '58. But in the 30s, they were the dynamic. They were as good as a Cadillac, maybe better than a Cadillac. And like you said, you had all those people in there. It was like a house. It was as big as most people's
We
house.
had this much space between the front and the back seat, and we put a bench in there. you could see, we had 4 people seated across the front seat. And I was driving, my buddy was here, and there were 2 couples here, and the rest of them were in the back. Now, imagine putting 6 people in the front seat of a car.
That's pretty hard to do. I know nowadays when young folks go to the prom or something like that, they'll have somebody generous enough to rent a van for them or something like that, or some families have
Right.
big enough vehicles. But they do the same thing. They put 10, 12 people, and a lot of times they're not people that are dating. You know, they just want to make sure that they get to the prom and everybody have a good time. And I think
Yeah.
it's so much better than worrying about, you know, can I ask the girl or will she say no? And so you were way ahead of your time on that game with that many people.
Do you
So-
know that my wife had been in my car any number of times and I didn't know her? Because I used to have 4, 5, 6, 7 girls in the back of the car and I didn't know half of them.
Well, and I can understand that. Just
Because I had a car and
You had a
nobody
car.
else did.
So
Yeah.
how did you figure out to marry her then?
She come up to me at the bingo and said, will you take me to my prom? And I thought, who in the hell are you?
You didn't know her at all.
And my
She
future
asked you-
mother-in-law was the one that was giving me hell all during the bingo for not shutting up. Because I was having a running conversation with all the waiters and waitresses, and they were 13, 14, serving alcohol and everything.
well, times have changed. Bingo hasn't changed, but times have changed.
Or Kentucky put a limit on a lot of it.
Yeah.
So did you go
Did
To
I?
her prom.
to
Yeah,
the prom? You
but
took-
I had 3 straight proms. 1, 2, 3, 3 weeks.
That's pretty rough. That's pretty rough. And at that point, I know that you had, well, we're back to the Korea War, so you had told her that we were going to wait till this is over
And we
with.
did,
And you did, so it's 2 years,
right?
and now you've been married 62 years in November. What is the actual date that you were married?
Thanksgiving Day,
Thanksgiving
November
Day.
the 27th.
Well, you have had a lot to be thankful for over the years. And
We had 10 children.
you have
The
10.
first one died at birth.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, we have 9. Bill, who's a Catholic priest in Newport, is our oldest one. And then Charlie, that owns Cleves and Lineman, now is the second one. And they go all the way down the line.
Well, there is a Thomas More connection then, because Father Cleves one time was president of the new Thomas More College,
9 years.
the new 40-year-old college.
But see, the difference is that I went to St. Thomas More.
I understand that. I understand that. So, of your other children, are they all in this neighborhood or in the?
No,
They're all over the world.
we have 3 of our children have doctorates, 1 an MBA, 1 a master's, and 2 bachelors. They all started out at Northern Kentucky University, except Bill, who went to the seminary and then went to Rome. But they all had their beginning out here.
And you know how thankful we are that Northern Kentucky University is here now, as opposed,
Right.
and it has progressed from a community college, and it has progressed from a very small campus to nationally and internationally known people that have graduated from there with terrific, especially social workers and whatever. We don't normally associate social workers, but they've
Right.
got a very good social worker program at Northern. I've met quite a few of those folks, and it has become a world-class college. And do you remember the part of the territory that was there before the college was actually
Yeah.
there? Pretty much farmland, wasn't it?
It's all farmland.
Yeah.
And some of my second and third cousins owned the farmland over there. It was the Studers.
The Studers is a big name, and I think some of the Schweitzers. One gentleman told me when he first started driving on Johns Hill Road to go to work at the steel plant, there were only 6 houses, and each one of them was a farmhouse, but the barn was much bigger than the house, but that makes sense.
Yeah.
And he said the people that worked at the steel plant that didn't necessarily know about farm life, they couldn't figure out why a farmer would have a $20,000 barn and a $3,000 house. But the logistics and you just had to keep doing that to protect the animals and the grain and things like that. So
Yeah.
the Studers were your relatives. Do you have other relatives with those
My-
common names around?
My great aunt's daughter was one of the Studers.
I see.
Oh, I got relatives all over.
And there'll probably be a lot of first cousins there too, right?
We had 20 in first cousins in World War II.
Oh, wow.
Over in Lewisburg, that was a German Catholic community.
And that was in Covington?
That was in Covington, around St. John Parish on Pike Street in Covington. And I had relatives on almost every street in Lewisburg.
Yeah. Now I'm going to go back to your meeting your wife and a little bit about her family. Her father was in World War I, is that correct?
Right.
You want to tell us about what side he was on?
He was in the German Army. He flew planes for the German Air Force, I suppose. And they run airplanes and they put him in the infantry. And he was in opposition to the British sector, and the British shot him in the arm. He had about a 6-inch piece of shrapnel come out through his arm without breaking one bone. And we have it framed, and my son Tom has it down in Memphis, Tennessee. And he has his Iron Cross.
Wow. Now I know this is a academic question, but did he ever try to get VA benefits from the United States?
Him?
Yeah.
Probably not.
No, probably not. They probably would have questioned
You know,
that.
I don't get VA benefits
No, I don't.
because I don't have a discharge.
Would you like to tell us a little bit about that? I know that you
The
said,
first thing you have to have is a discharge, and I do not have a discharge.
Oh, no.
he's still in the Navy.
I'm still in the Navy. I joined the Navy when I was 17. I'm 87, and I still don't have a discharge. Now, I can get a dishonorable one in a hurry. If you
Okay.
went over to Fountain Square and start cussing out the President of the United States, you might be charged with disorderly conduct and thrown in jail. If I'd done it, they could call me to active duty, give me a general court-martial, and I would lose everything. So that's the difference between you and I.
The military has very strict rules, and I think they are there for that purpose. I've never met anyone who was ever in any of the military that didn't come out better for that military service than had they not. Whereas a lot of civilians take things for granted, but you learn discipline in the military, and you learn a lot about patriotism and your fellow soldiers and sailors and airmen, that we treat each other as brothers,
Right.
and we put our life in their hands, and we know what they can do. So the fact that you don't have a discharge, I can understand why you can't get veterans benefits.
Can you go to the VA hospital?
I got better coverage without it.
Oh, but you could go.
No,
No,
I got better coverage without it.
I
We're under
understand.
Medicare and TRICARE for Life. And TRICARE for Life is something that most people don't know about. But we get the benefits of TRICARE for Life.
well, that's great.
It,
Now, I noticed that on your hat there, you've got a lot of insignias, and you've got one that the military, the Army, you would be a colonel, but you were the oak leaf?
Commander,
A commander.
the silver oak leaf.
Okay, and how far up the rank is that? I know ensign is first.
Ensign, lieutenant, junior grade, and lieutenant commander, and commander.
I see. Well, that's pretty high up. You did pretty well.
I'm senior category, senior officer.
Yes. And are you involved in any of the American Legion or anything like that? VFW?
No, I joined the Bellevue Veterans, but I
Uh-huh.
told them at the time I joined it, I belonged to too many things, and I could, if they wanted my name on the books and my dues is fine, but I could not be active in it. But I've given talks down there at times. I was just a guest speaker at the Memorial Day service at the laying of the wreath in Bellevue, and I'll be the guest speaker at the Veterans Breakfast and
On the 11th?
speaker on November the 11th in Bellevue.
At the Bellevue Vets?
No, it'll be at Sacred Heart Church and Divine Mercy Parish.
Right, they've combined them.
After that, we're having a breakfast at the hall on Poplar Street, and I'll be the guest speaker there.
Well, that's great. That is terrific. I know you'll do good at that. Got a couple more questions concerning your early life. Do you remember the Great Depression? Now, if you were
Yes.
17, you do remember it.
And
Pretty tough times for a lot of people. Your dad was working, though, as a
he
watchmaker,
was working at Matches.
mock
And,
jewelry.
yeah, and they cut him off completely, and they dropped Mr. Lineman down to 4 days. And my dad was selling door to door some things, and then he got a job with Dorsal Jewelers up in Norwood. And then Dad and Mr. Lineman decided to start their own business in Bellevue. And they bought out a jeweler who was doing nothing. They started out at 226 Fairfield, and as soon as the place at 319 Fairfield was open, they moved up to there.
And Cleves and Loneman is a famous name in northern Kentucky. Probably 60% of the wedding rings, engagement rings that were purchased probably came from Cleves and Loneman. I don't know that number, but I know that that's where a lot of people in the eastern side of town in Fort Thomas and even out as far as Alexandria would come to Cleves and Loneman.
Yep.
I lived in Dayton for a little while, and it was always a busy place. So we'd go by and they said, well, the jewelry business is booming today.
The customer that we had furthest away was from New Mexico.
Wow.
She mailed in her jewelry every year. We used to repair her watches, repair her jewelry. And then we had another one, Sally Yelton was her maiden name. She was down in Florida. She was, I guess, 10 years younger than I. We knew the whole family. And she used to wait and gather up everything and bring it up on vacation.
Wow.
We'd have it ready for her.
That's pretty good to have such loyal customers from so far away. But the folks at Cleves and Loneman had established a great reputation as being superior
Right.
watch repairmen and clock builders and clock repairmen. And I know part of your hobby now, you make clocks, right?
Right, just as a hobby.
Yeah. And
A lot of it involves woodwork.
right.
And all my big professional tools are down in Bellevue yet.
Ah, so it's quite a task to make a woodworking face or a woodwork for the clocks. But you do something else on eyeglasses. How many pair of eyeglasses have you repaired?
My wife and I have collected, cleaned, and repaired 58,000 pairs of eyeglasses. And we give them to doctors who are going to Haiti, Jamaica, South America, Africa, and Indonesia.
And is this part of the Lions Club
Yes,
outreach?
it is. I've been a Lion for 48 years, and when women were permitted to join the Lions Club, my wife joined too.
Wow.
I've done all her repairing, and she does the washing, but now she can't do the washing, so I got some young high school girls from Simon Kenton washing the glasses for
Well,
me.
you know, and that's a pretty scientific project. You just can't throw them in the washing machine and then they come out. It's a on-hand operation.
If I tell them, if they break anything, don't try to repair it themselves, just give it back to me.
Well, as a craftsman, 58,000 pair of glasses is certainly an astronomical number. I mean, it's hard to imagine, but you've certainly spent a lot of time. How many hours in the evening did you wind up working on glasses?
Recently, not too many, because we really had to downsize. We used to collect glasses from Hamilton County, Kenton County, Campbell County, Pendleton County.
And these were glasses that people dropped off at the Lions Club?
No, they
Or
dropped
through
them off
doctor's
at
office? I
optometrists,
see.
doctor's offices. Some of them were at banks and different things, and I just couldn't travel. We used to go 35 stops twice a month,
Wow.
and I just couldn't do it anymore. My wife can't do it anymore, and we got another fellow, and he's not in any better physical shape than I am. So we're down to about 15 stops a month.
Well, but bless you for that, because that's still contributing a great deal to the needy, the people in the world that need their glasses.
And just like last month, we got about 96 pair last month. And
Now, can you repair plastic frames?
in some cases, yes, not all of them. It just depends on where they're broken.
Yeah.
I use a special glue to repair the plastic, but if there's a tremendous strain on the plastic, nothing will hold it.
Yeah. So do you take the lenses out of those then and no?
Oh, yeah. I can take the lenses out. I can use the frames. I can save the temples and use them on another pair. Then we turn, what extra lenses we got back, we turn over to Lions International.
And then they in turn sort them and,
I don't know what they do
oh,
with them.
okay. but I'm thinking they probably fit them into other frames,
Could be.
prescription-wise, and that's such an amazing thing. Now, you kind of joke a little bit about your wife and the Navy, the relationship right before you were married. What is your saying on that? The Navy thought
Um,
the Navy
there
thought more of
were
you.
I used to kid everybody and say the Navy thought more of me than my wife did.
Right, because
So a
you
couple of
delayed your
years I
marriage.
was gone. But the funny thing of it was, we were out to sea a lot, and when we went over in the Mediterranean, they had cocktail parties at every city that we pulled into. And for the young single officers, they always had some beautiful girls, well-educated girls that spoke English fluently. There's only one thing they had in mind, was get married and get over to the United States. So
Yeah.
if we saw, there were four of us stuck together, and if we saw one girl trying to get one fellow off, the other ones came to his aid. So four of us left the ship and four of us came back to
And
the
see,
ship.
your friends, your compatriots, they have your back, and that's still the case of the military today.
It's always that way.
Yeah. You know, it astounds me that you're still in the Navy. Having been in the military for a short period of time, I was pretty pleased when I finally got my discharge 6 years after and as a result of that, I do go to the VA, but I did not know that if you were an officer before 1949, you're still in the service. And you know, each branch says that. Once a Marine, always a Marine. In your case, it's more graphic and physical than anybody else.
Well, what happened, I had 21 years in, and the fellow that I knew real well was my roommate on the second ship that I was on. And he called me one day and said, "Nick, did you sign your papers for captain?" That would have been like a colonel.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "No, they're lying here on my desk." He said, "Tear the damn things up." He said, "They're recalling you to active duty, and they're giving you command of a new destroyer, and it's going to Vietnam for 2 years." So I thanked him, and I tore the papers up. I should have kept them to prove that I could have been promoted.
Well, you could have been in the Brown Water Navy then if you had gone to Vietnam.
No, but
Not
I'd have
type
been
of ship.
commanding officer of
Right.
a destroyer.
Okay.
But
So you didn't go to Vietnam?
no, because we had just bought a beautiful new 4-bedroom brick house.
In Fort Thomas?
No, on Fairfield, right across
Oh,
from my business.
I see.
And we just bought the business from Dad and Mr. Lyman. Well, Gert could take care of the family in the house, but she couldn't run the business because I had to break in new employees to replacing my dad and Mr. Lyman.
Right. And you had given your time to the Navy in Korea and various other places, all those strategic places that you mentioned that the young girls were trying to get a hold of an officer. So you had done 20 years of military prior to the Vietnam era,
Right.
and that's quite an accomplishment in itself. Now, being a commander of a battleship, if you
No.
wanted to ski, would those guys have to slow it down to let you be out there on a pair of skis?
A battleship has either got a captain or an admiral as commanding officer.
I see.
I would never be in command of a battleship.
Okay,
They were running out of battleships when I was in there.
I understand
We
that.
operated with the last ones until they sent the Missouri to Korea. And they might have been the Missouri to Vietnam, but that was the last.
Well, I know a little bit about the USS Missouri, and I'm going to throw this in just as a aside. I was stationed at Fort Lewis, Washington, and I tried to get as far away from the military base as I could on the weekends. Otherwise, somebody had you on a detail. So we hitchhiked, like you walked all over Covington and whatever. But I went down to Olympia, and I thought, oh, they must have historic days or something. There were a lot of Indians had teepees on the Capitol lawn in Olympia, Washington, and they were cooking in iron pots, and they were cooking on propane stoves, and they were just having their whole life there. And I said, what's going on? Somebody said, oh, there are 4 Indians captured the USS Missouri. Well, right there in the back of my mind, I thought, well, how do 4 people capture the USS Missouri? But it was sort of in dry dock, being serviced at Bremerton, which is right there next to Fort Lewis, Seattle. And these guys climbed up the chain. They rode their canoes out climbed the chain, and the links on these chains are about 6 foot, 5 foot, something like that. Got up on the bridge or wherever the chains go in, and with one statement said, "I'm capturing this for the United Indian Movement of America," and of course they were arrested immediately, and they had thought this out far enough in advance to know that those 4 would have to be transported to Olympia to appear before a U.S. Marshal instead of some local authority. And that's why the Indians were all there, and they were looking for a little bit of fairness across the board. The salmon industry was allowed to use gill nets, but the Indians weren't. So they were just looking for a little bit of fairness, and it created an amazing thing. So the Missouri was captured one time, and it only lasted about 8 seconds. And it wasn't from a foreign power. It was from our native people that were here before we were. So I've got a couple other questions concerning your life after you came back home and got married and you raised your family. And how many years did you work and own Cleves and Loneman?
I think 59 was that one week.
She
59
said
years?
We,
No,
we bought it in
1959.
1959
Oh, I
from
see.
Dad and Mr. Lundman.
Okay.
And I worked there and owned it until 1987. I had to quit when I was 60 years old because my heart went haywire.
I see. That's
Did you
28
sell
years.
it? Did you sell the business?
His
I
son,
sold it to our son Charlie.
Oh, that's right.
Now Charlie and his wife own it, and he has a son Mike works there, who's a certified master watchmaker also.
now, can you still repair watches? And do you do that? I know you make clocks.
I
but
did
you
it
buy
up
the
till
movement?
3 or 4 years ago.
Uh-huh.
I had a watch bench and everything set up there with a cleaning machine, and I've done all Charlie's pocket watches till then.
And that's a lost art, isn't it?
Well,
Because people are buying throwaway watches. They buy a
Charlie is
digital.
swamped with good watches. He probably is the only one in this whole area that has 3 master watchmakers on the premises. And the one fellow was the instructor at the watchmaker school.
Wow.
So these are 3 of the top ones, and there aren't that many in the whole United States, and Charlie's got 3 of them.
We can go out and see this.
So-
Yeah.
workshop?
We're going to go over here and talk to your wife for just a few minutes, and then we're going to go to the garage. Now, do you have other information to pass to us? I know you've got a lot of decorations on your hat.
But there's a couple of things I wanted to bring up.
All
I
right.
met Archbishop Macarius. Now, he might not mean much to you, but he was Cyprus. We were on there, Larnaca and Famagusta, and he came aboard with these Greek Orthodox.
And I was going to say he's Greek Orthodox as opposed to Roman
Right.
Catholic.
I don't know if he could speak English, but his Monsignor was with me because I had the duty. And he was quite a character. He only stayed on there maybe a half hour or so and left. But his method of fighting was never published over here and is known worldwide except in the United States. He designed his own method of battle. At 6 o'clock at night, you go home, you eat, and you get a good night's sleep. The next morning, you eat breakfast, then you go out and fight till noon. At noon, you gather up your injured and your dead and go home and eat a good lunch. And after lunch, then you go out and fight again till 6 o'clock. And 6 o'clock, you gather up your injured and your dead and go home until the next morning.
That is amazing.
And the top of Cyprus is controlled by the Turks and the bottom by the Greeks. And when we pulled in, they said, don't even go near the border because you're going to be involved in the fighting. If you stay south, you're safe. You can go home and do anything you want.
Yeah. And that fighting was going on a
It's
lot of
still
years,
going
and it's
on.
still going on. They started out throwing rocks at each other, and now they've advanced to bombing each other. But that is an interesting way to have a battle.
And another thing, down in Cuba, I was in Cuba many different times, and I was in Cuba under the reign of Fulgencio, Batista, Morales, Batista, and Castro. And I was on Cuban soil. It was not just looking at the flowers growing or the trees growing on the hills. And the last couple of times I was down there in the intelligence category. And it's far different than what was being reported in the newspapers today.
Right.
In fact, I caught hell when I come home and told them what was going on, what I thought. Because the CIA and the Catholic Church were responsible for Castro getting into power. They were definitely responsible, and the spokesman for all of them in the United States was Dale Francis. And when I told people that it's absolutely wrong supporting Castro, they said, you don't know what you're talking about. But I was down in Santiago, Cuba during the time when there was unrest, and I was in official capacity, and I did not see one policeman carry a gun. And I was all through that city for 3 days. I did not see a policeman threatening anybody. I did not see a policeman use his nightstick on anybody. And yet they were saying what a cruel person he is. Maybe he done other things, but he wasn't as bad as Castro. When Castro came in, he opened up all the jails. And a year later, he put them all back in jail
Yeah.
and murdered half of them.
And everybody, most of the people in Cuba today are extremely poor because that system of government doesn't work.
No.
And there are many people that are risking their life probably daily at 90 miles to get here. Some of them trying to swim, some of them in little bitty boats. So the fact that you were there and have first-hand insight to that is certainly an interesting thing.
I was there under all 5 of those dictators at different times. And I didn't see anything going on up till Castro. And that's when all hell broke loose down there. There's just one other thing that's interesting. February the 3rd, 1952, we come out of the Mediterranean in a full-blown hurricane.
Oh,
And we rolled over 55 degrees. That meant it was 10 degrees easier to walk there than it was here. And I didn't think we were coming back. 3 officers were hurt. We busted steam lines. 4 men were pinned up against a bulkhead, live steam right in front of them. We lost all our firefighting pumps, our mooring lines, all our canvas, even some of our depth charges. And at the same time, our sister ship rolled over 58 degrees. And they were scared to death. We were too.
I'm thinking that. You know, for the people that don't understand that nautical talk, vertical is 90 degrees. And if you're on that plane, 55 degrees is more than a 45-degree angle.
Yep.
And you're in danger of capsizing. The boat is big, but it's also not designed to be 55 degrees out of the water. So you're lucky that you're alive there and you survived a hurricane.
We loaded all of our fuel tanks that were empty, we loaded them with salt water. If we didn't do that, we would have gone over.
Yep, for ballast.
No doubt about it.
Yeah. Now I've got a couple of questions to ask your
Sure.
wife, and then we're going to go out and look at some of your cameras. Nick had been married 62 years, and I'm going to ask you a little bit about your early life. He pretty well gave us clued us in about the Navy thought more of you, more of him than you, but we know that wasn't true.
Yeah.
And your father was in World War I on the German side.
Right.
When did he emigrate to America?
In 1925, wasn't it?
25.
Yeah.
And did he assimilate to this society? Because this is a German town.
Yes,
And he had relatives?
he had one brother came over.
Uh-huh.
The rest of his family was all in Germany.
Yeah.
But he stayed with friends from Germany. They all lived close to one another,
Uh-huh.
and he stayed with them.
So do you know how your mother and father met? Did they meet at church or?
I don't know.
No, see, that's so many
Yeah.
people don't know that, and
We
it's
have-
not a big deal, but I always ask,
Yeah.
thinking that maybe somebody's got a little story there.
I think at church, St. Aloysius Church,
Uh-huh.
he lived with that cousin at 9th in Philadelphia there. And they all went to
So what kind of job did he wind up with here?
tailoring.
Tailoring.
Oh yeah, he was.
And that's what he was before maybe the
Oh,
military?
yeah. He could look at somebody and make up the pattern and that.
Well, that's certainly a talent. Now, how many siblings did you have?
3.
3. And you were all from the Covington area, lived there all your life till you
Yeah.
moved to Campbell County, and
They're all in Covington.
they are still at Covington. And he mentioned all of your children. Were they born in Fort Thomas or Bellevue
No.
or Covington? Did you ever
St.
live
Elizabeth's Hospital
in Covington?
in Covington.
Yeah. Well, that's great.
You know, my brother is up in Wisconsin. You asked, and I said they were all this there, but he's up in Wisconsin.
So what does he do up there?
Well, he's retired now, but he worked for a gas company.
Oh, I see. I thought maybe he was a cheesemaker or something like that. You know,
No.
we don't know much about a lot
No.
of things other than the stereotype.
Right.
Yeah. But when you go to a football game and those Green Bay folks show up with chunks of
Cheese
cheese,
on
we
it,
automatically
yeah.
think that's the only thing that's happening up there.
Right.
And do you have family reunions or anything like this of your siblings?
Oh, there for a while we were all getting together at Thanksgiving, but it's getting so big.
Well, you celebrated the wedding
Okay.
anniversary and then Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
We wanted to get married on a Saturday, and they had said in the jewelry business, Saturday is the day you either in December you makes or breaks you for the year.
Yeah.
So we picked Thanksgiving, so we didn't have to close the store.
Well, that's a good story.
Yeah.
Well, it's been beneficial to both of you that the store stayed open that Saturday, I guess.
Yeah.
And you've had a long and happy marriage. You got a lot of descendants,
Oh yes, we do.
and I'm sure that it is a treasure when they all get together.
Oh, they're so cute.
Well,
The little ones, the great-grandchildren are really a pleasure to be around.
they don't fall very far from the tree. So we have enjoyed talking to you.
I'll have to cut that out, you know.
Yeah. I'm sorry about that.
Doesn't matter.
A modern telephone, 20 years old, and it still
Did
makes
you
all
work
that.
at the Cleves jewelry store?
I did the books,
You did the books.
and when we lived across the street, well, I would go in the morning and balance for the day before. And but when the kids came home, they came home for lunch. I fixed them lunch, and when they came home at 2:30, 2:45, I went home, so I was there with them.
Well, that's great. A stay-at-home mom that went across the street to do the books.
Just run around, just run over there and do something. Yeah.
Okay. We're going to go out to the garage, but you don't have to go. He's going to tell us about his clocks.
Oh yes, he's got a lot.
Well, thank you so much for allowing us to interview. And have you got any parting words of wisdom to our next generation? Do good work, right?
Yeah.
People will appreciate a craftsman's workshop. Now, all of those clocks that you've got on the wall, you probably get the mechanism, right? Does that come in a kit or is it?
California.
Okay.
No, I buy different sizes, 25 at a time.
Oh,
They're different sizes. And then I don't think I have any musical ones up there. Some of them got the Westminster chimes, some of the Whittington chimes, some of the Ave Maria.
Yeah.
And different things.
now I know you do a lot of woodworking, but it also looks like you have terrazzo and tile around some of them. Are you a tile setter?
That fools you.
Oh, it's not tile?
I made the original ones. I'd get a block of tiles out at Home Depot.
Uh-huh. And then saw them up?
No, they're made that way so you can put them in the kitchen, all right at the
Yeah,
yard.
sure.
So then I saw a company where this is plastic, and you just peel that up and stick it on a piece
Isn't that
of wood.
amazing? Modern technology.
Now these, like this, I just bought some more of these this morning.
Mm-hmm.
I buy those at Michael's, but this is the way I get this from Omaha.
Oh, so this is there's a woodworking shop making these, and then they sell them to all the clockmakers?
They sell them to anybody for anything. Now those are ones I shot and I
50
brought
caliber,
home.
50 caliber,
No, 20 millimeter.
20 millimeter.
And I plated those, and I forgot all about them. A couple of weeks ago, they found them down in the store's basement, and I'd done that 40, 50 years ago.
Yep.
See this? Now, what I'll do, I put green felt in here, and then I put various scented candles in here.
Oh, great.
And then I give them to somebody. Now I'm going to take some of these and set them in here.
Wow. Well, what a treasure.
But I just enjoy doing it. I made a whole mess of desk studs. They're hiding underneath the bed in the back room.
You got to store them somewhere.
But
Oh,
these are,
and this little swivel ball there.
yep.
That's nice. You're a highly talented person.
And I have all different kinds of walnut and different. There's some down there that I paint, and I'm going to let that dry for 2 or 3 days, and then I'll sand the front off and stain that a different color.
Oh, wow.
Then,
And I see you have some faces, so you have a selection of different.
oh, I must have 20 or 30 different kinds of dolls.
Now, my grandfather was not a clockmaker, but he was a tinkerer, and they had a big clock in the kitchen, and he made it January, February, March, April.
Yeah.
And as kids, we'd say, oh, like it's April after July. This is the only time that April was after July. Well, he got a big kick out of that, but we all had another clock that knew what was
But
right.
I just have a good time
Where
doing
do you
it.
do your glass work?
Please,
Where are the glasses?
here's 400 or 500 right here.
He does that right here, Shirlene.
Oh, okay.
Now that whole box is filled, that might have 425 pairs in there. These are all done. I'm caught up with glasses. And this is the records I keep on the glasses. And at the end, these are all the places that we collect them from. And at the,
It's your desk over there where you sit and
Yep.
work.
and I'll show you.
So these are pictures of your clocks. Maybe we could bring them over to the back of the car and Shirlene will be able to focus on it.
I just gave this away. She just bought a horse. She loves horses. I gave this to the physical therapist that comes take care of my wife. Oh, this is the same picture. Well, that's the same. Here's one.
And this is a barometer, and what is the other instrument?
Barometer, thermometer, and a clock.
Okay.
There's one I gave the nurse that comes.
And this is actually wood, or is it metal?
It's metal.
I see.
I buy some of this junk at St. Vincent de Paul.
Well, it helps a lot of people when you do that.
Well, my wife and I have been members of St. Vincent de Paul. This is one like, this
Okay,
was
so it was
round,
a
this
metal
is
frame.
square.
Right.
Yep, it's all metal.
Well, that's certainly putting recycling to a higher level.
Oh, this is a family when my brother was ordained a Franciscan priest. That's my mother and dad. There's my brother, my wife and I.
Uh-huh. And this is all of your siblings?
No, not the two girls.
Oh,
They were
okay.
nuns and they weren't allowed to get on a picture.
Oh.
Now, John's dead, Joe's dead. Oh, Bill was dead long before this. Here's something that's funny, and we've actually seen this. My daughter up in Boston has a beautiful front yard. This is what the turtle's done to it.
like making a nest.
They lay up to 200 eggs down here, and they come out, and the eggshells are all over the place. They'll come out like that, boop, 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 boop,
Yep.
like a machine
Now, is
gun.
she near the coast or a river, or because most of the turtles come out of
She's
the...
got backwaters
Oh.
of a big lake that goes into
I
the
see.
river up there. These are two different holes. They really messed up.
They did a
her
good
front
job
lawn.
on the yard. See, it's hard to beat Mother Nature, isn't it?
Here's something that's funny as hell. Oh, this is one I made for every one of our children. The first 12 states to join the Union, Delaware was the first, 1 o'clock, and you go all the way around to 12 o'clock as the last one. Then I put red ink in one, black and blue in another one.
That is really great. As a craftsman, I can see that you take a lot of pride in all
Oh,
the
this
things you
is
do.
one of our granddaughters. She's got a master's degree. She's up in Chicago in the Chicago school system.
Oh, wow.
She's a
And-
guidance counselor.
And you're having a glass of apple cider, I guess, or something. Nick, we have enjoyed being with you
I want to
immensely.
thank you for everything. Thank you for everything.
I
You have some of your belongings in there.
We'll get them. But do you have words for the next generation or the young?
One thing I find that the younger generation is more educated. They're going to college longer. They're getting jobs and improving their way of life. I just hope that during that period of time, they realize that there has to be complete changes up in Washington.
But the
Or the
education
better.
is the critical thing, and I think most generations want their next generation to be better educated and
That's
better
right.
working conditions and stuff like that. We can only hope that the rest of the world catches on to what we're trying to do here. Thank you again for your time. I thank you especially for your service,
Oh,
even though it
thank
was
you.
kind of interrupted and then put back into high gear. And the fact that you haven't got a discharge is somewhat of an entertainment, but it's also a disappointment. But I understand what the rules are.
That
It's
doesn't
better
bother
than
me.
better than getting the dishonorable discharge.